Hi, this is Dee, and grand Saturday to everybody. Lots to share today. Oh, and let me fix that for right now. There. Okay. Tried to fix it prior to stream, but there was no way to mute it, which was interesting. I've noticed that lately. Anyway, tons to share today. Lots to go over. Like I said, behind the scenes, there's a lot going on all the time. And keeping up with it is a bit of a task and can become quite overwhelming. I found myself extremely overwhelmed multiple times and kind of took a step back so that because I found that when I do things, mundane tasks such as housework, gaming, or anything like that, the telepathy seems to pour in, and I'm also able to work and sort some things out relatively easily. So I've kind of stepped back a little bit just to give myself that time that I needed. Like I said, the telepathy from Gabriel comes a lot faster and easier when I'm in that, because I think I kind of go into my subconscious space a bit and the communication's easier there. So yeah, it's interesting. I took a course this week on last night actually on communicating with your subconscious a little bit. It didn't really give me anything additional, perhaps some reminders, but it was still, I enjoyed it. And Brett Stewart had hosted that on his stream, and so he's a remote viewer. Anyway, and yeah, remote viewing's a thing. And if you really do that inner work that I've talked about many, many times, you will become quite gifted in much more than that ability. If you're one of us, MTHFR, C677T, or A1298C, you have abilities, you have gifts. And you need to explore and do that inner work, first of all, to get you through what's happening here on the planet. It'll get you through your awakening process quicker. And you will find those abilities. So much to talk about. Wow, tons to talk about. I'm just going over in my head. I just thought of something that I missed that I meant to write down. Let me note it really quickly. So I don't forget to mention it, because it has everything to do with that genetics and some of the pieces of the puzzle that I'm putting together. You know, it's interesting. The virus, you know, I've talked about targeted individuals. If you have those genetics, you've been targeted since birth. I was. And what I just thought about that I had forgotten to write down has everything to do with that. Yeah. A whole bunch to do with that. My intuition tells me so. Let me get something that I need, because I wasn't planning on doing this first, but we're going to do it first because my mind's on it right now, and we've talked about the genetics. Let me get this. Dig, dig, dig. Getting ready to lighten the load on this. Okay. Alrighty. Several people have been mentioning this lately. And my intuition tells me that this is important. You know, if you have these genetics, you've been targeted in every conceivable way. You've been targeted via vaccinations, the food, talked about folic acid. If you have those genetics, that's like taking poison, and it's in everything on the supermarket shelf. If you choose to eat that, that's your business. But I'm telling you, if you're starting to have allergies or autoimmune symptoms of any kind, that includes diabetes, arthritis, spectral disorders, you name it, anything that falls under an autoimmune category, you need to pay strict attention to what's going on with your diet and what you're exposed to, chemically and otherwise. People have been talking about adrenochrome. I hadn't really thought about discussing that during this stream, but we're going to go into it a bit. It's been mentioned on a couple of different channels, and it got my attention because I got really sick. They almost got me. They almost managed to kill me. But guess what? Didn't work. So I have something called mast cell activation disorder. It's part of the cascade of things that go wrong when you're ingesting folic acid, among other things. It sends your autonomic nervous system out of whack. It causes, well, mast cell in particular, I'm allergic to the planet, including pretty much every known food to man. Let's put it this way. The list of I can't have is enormous. The list of what I can have that doesn't give me a reaction is possibly 10 to 15 things. And in that list includes fats like butter and olive oil. I can have those. So seriously limited diet for me. Some of you, the damage may not be as extreme and you won't have to go through what I go through. I hope not. For those of you that are, I'm very sorry. But it's because of who and what you are. Anyway, the virus feeds from us because we are indeed very gifted. We're very powerful, extremely powerful. And you all need to know this. And why they're feeding off you particularly, because of that power. And also, the other reason is to keep you from realizing who and what you really are. Because if you're so busy being sick, you won't remember. Anyway, adrenochrome. Some people have linked the Clintons and myelin together. And this. It's called an EpiPen. I have mast cell activation disorder. I have to carry one of these with me 24/7. I've never used it. I've got a big stack of them. Never used them. Was scared to use them. I used Benadryl and Xanax and mind over matter techniques, breathing techniques to get through anaphylaxis because of my allergies, courtesy of the virus, because they were trying to take me out. This. When these are left sitting for long periods of time, turn into adrenochrome. They're actually adrenaline, epinephrine, okay? Which is interesting because when your autonomic nervous system goes haywire, your adrenaline shoots off the charts anyway. So when you add this to it, serious feeding time for the virus. That's my guess. This is what they look like. So my gut instinct not to use this is probably highly accurate. Anyway, I told you they feed off negative energy. And you guys are lunch because of your genetics. That's why you're targeted for many reasons. Anyway, hadn't planned on going into that specific thing today, but there it is. And my thoughts about that, because when I saw the videos coming out with that mentioned, I was like, I carry one of those. What the H? And then the next thought, those bastards. Pharma, it's a problem. Anyway. I need my Zen because that makes me extremely angry. And I don't want to feed the virus. So I shall not. I will do other things to the virus, though. Bank on it. I've learned a few things the last few days. Big things. I'm not going to talk about it yet. But I will get to it eventually. Anyway, channel art. I know I asked for someone to maybe do channel art for me. Well, when I got overwhelmed and wanted to get my Zen back a little bit so I could get the telepathy and things, I decided to go ahead, because I've talked about renaming this channel because Gabriel has asked that I do that in the codes. And I was overwhelmed with codes and everything else. Didn't know if I have a very artistic side, but I don't get to use it very often. It comes out in other ways lately, like photography and things like that. It just so happens the background of that sun is my own. It's a picture I took. I wanted to make sure that my channel artwork was beyond reproach, as in everything else I try to do. Mistakes could, get made occasionally because I'm stumbling through the dark on everything here. But with the channel art, That's a photograph I took back in 2016 or 2017. 2017, I believe. Anyway, very pink morning sky. By the way, that pink sky is part of prophecy. And if you guys haven't noticed the salmon colored sky, then you're not paying attention. I took a picture of that sun because who the true sun is. All my photographs are copyrighted under Drakkar. Those are my initials. And that's one of my photographs. So there's no potential for any sort of copyright issues with me using it because it's mine. So there it is. Now, as far as the way it was designed and everything, that was under guidance with Gabriel. Gabriel happens to be, his orb happens to be mostly pink. So this is kind of a homage to him, since he's been around telepathy-wise my entire life. So then name change, I thought about Dominion L. And then the divine thing came to me, telepathy, Gabriel, courtesy. So, and it happens to be, I go by D. So, works out. So, that's the new channel name and art. So, and I did mention it in several streams that that was going to occur. Some people wondered why I didn't notify them. It's like, I mentioned it in a few streams. So, evidently they might have missed it, possibly. So, yay, got that done. Didn't think I would have time, but in that process of backing up and taking time to breathe, that happened. So, under some guidance from my left side. Okay. I wanted to go over a few things, but the first thing that I wanted to talk about was what the title of today's stream is. And we'll look at that here in a minute. See how everybody's doing. Hello, Sir Carlos. Hello, Sir Pavel. It's great to see you. Great to see everybody. Oh, thank you, Sir Pavel. Yeah, the House of L. I thought about naming it that, and I used that in the series. But when I started to do the artwork, a little bit of prodding and telepathy from Gabriel led me to what I ended up with. So, but yeah, Anunnaki, House of L. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, the stream name is, the topic is the prophecy of Iona and the Grail legend. So I'm going to do a little bit on that. I'm also going to talk about Iona a little bit. And some things that have been going on here personally. What else? The Iona part I'll get to. One thing about this journey is one thing that I've mentioned before is once I opened that door and agreed to start these videos, that path has come a long way in a little over a year's time now. And some people are like, I considered that this was all just some sort of bizarre psyop or something like that. But those of you that have been following me for a long time and know the details and really paid attention know the huge amount of things that are synchronistic with regarding me, my history, and a lot of other things. A lot. And I opened that door once I agreed to do the streams. And I'm not going to shut it. No matter what anybody else says. Because my mission, I never stopped my mission. Others may have. I have not. And I'm not going to. It's important because it's about freeing you that have been trapped in a literal prison here on this planet. Open that door. I'm not shutting it. I really can't see this being, I've tried to reason it out, especially all the things that have occurred with the Nomo and many other synchronicities. Anybody in their right mind would question, is this a psyop? If it is, the psyop started before birth because I have memories of my mom, my older sister, and a gentleman in my mom's apartment at the time prior to my birth. And I wasn't in her belly. I was outside of it. So if this is a psyop, it started from before birth. A psyop could never be this intricate. No way, no how. First of all, the virus isn't in. There's some that are intelligent. There's some that are actually us working for the wrong side. But I don't think they're intelligent enough to design something that intricate. So if you have doubts, question yourself and why you would have doubts about it. I still struggle with it a bit myself. But like I said, I opened the door and I'm not shutting it. Because if I do, this planet will be a loss. And I don't want to take that risk. So, anyway, we're going to talk about this prophecy. A real prophecy, unlike that garbage I read the other day online on a stream. It was utter horseshit. Like I said, a lesson in discernment, right? Should have read through it before. But I also believe in destiny, and I think that needed to happen so that those of you that are stuck with text that's been tampered with, and your brains are in that mode of what you've been taught all your life, the programming, fear, fear, fear. God's going to strike you down. You know, well, I'll get into that in a little bit. But you will need to understand something. The one that truly loves you, the ones that truly love you, aren't going to make threats. And that Bible is full of nothing but fear, 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 fear. I rejected it as a child, and I reject it now because there's very little truth in there. Part of their MO. Mix a little bit of truth because I have to due to cosmic law. In with their bullshit virus lies. Books left out, names switched around. Utter horseshit. So, let's look at some prophecy that might actually have some truth to it. And I want to thank Miss Deb for passing this along to me, because I don't know when I would have seen this eventually, possibly, but the fact that she brought it to my attention, bless you. Thank you so much. That was huge. I don't know how long it would have taken me to get to this. Infinite Terra, for you thinking of this. Anyway, I'm going to share screen on this, and we'll talk about this. Here we go. Off to the races. Show and tell time. The prophecy of Iona and the Grail legends. When I saw this, I was blown away. I even opened Facebook, because when I go into Facebook, I'm in and out of there. So if you guys are trying to catch me and talk to me on Facebook, you better keep an eye out, because I'm in and out fast as lightning. I don't like it. Just saying. I use it to communicate with others that use it for communication, but I avoid it as much as possible. Anyway, so yeah, there's a prophecy that says a woman with the soul of Marie Magdalena, will return to the Isle of Iona, a Scottish isle where she gave birth to the last son of the Saint Isa, Jesus. By the way, yeah, Zeus, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Oh, yeah. You know, it's interesting because my family came out of Scotland, I think it was 1649. I've talked about our incarnations very likely being inside the same family lines. And yeah, this is interesting. Not only did they name the child John Martinius, there is a Celtic cross on the Isle, which still stands today, dedicated to none other than St. John. Wow. According to the author, Christine Hartley, in her book, The Western Mystery Tradition, the Holy Isle of Iona was also known as Isle of John. Could this relate to the presence of a child Christ, John Martinius, on Iona? Pretty interesting. According to the author William Sharp, writing as Fiona MacLeod in 1910, when I think of Iona, I think often too of a prophecy once connected with Iona, the old prophecy that Christ shall come again upon Iona, and of the latter, and obscure prophecy which foretells now as the bride of Christ, now as the daughter of God, now as the divine spirit embodied through mortal birth in a woman, as once through mortal birth of a man, the coming of the new presence and power, and dream that this may be upon Iona, so that the little Gaelic island may become the little Syrian Bethlehem. A young Hebridean priest once told me how, as our forefathers and elders believed and still believe, the Holy Spirit shall come again, and once was mortally born among us as the Son of God, but then shall be the daughter of God. The divine spirit shall come again as a woman. They're right. The codes have been telling me this, and I was ignoring it. But it's all over the codes. Then, for the first time, the world will know peace. Yep. My mission. Iona has a very colorful history related to not only the Grail stories, but to stories of Atlantis. Like I said, this goes back. We were here way before Samaria. Way. King Arthur, Merlin, Saint Brigid, and the goddess Sophia. Its mystery and magic includes tales of Templars, Druids, mermaids, and fairies, the Sedhi, or people of the hills, the Tuatha de Danann. In this article, I intend to connect all the dots and unveil the truth by providing sufficient evidence and stirring esoteric information in support of the legendary Grail accounts of Iona and the British Isles. So in other words, let's talk about some real prophecy. After my experience with the secrets I discovered in stained glass at Rosalind Chapel, I ventured by train out of Edinburgh, Scotland, took a bus and 2 ferries to get to the Isle of Iona. I had been drawn to visit Iona prior to learning about the legends of Marie, and Isa, Zeus, in both Scotland and England. I found that I'm not alone in being called to this special place where the veil between heaven and earth is at its thinnest, allowing pilgrims to easily access spiritual dimensions. In fact, many female pilgrims, in particular, are being drawn to the small Iberian island. either backpacking alone as I did or by joining groups of other women on spiritual pilgrimage. It is curious indeed that so many women are taking sojourns to Iona for their own unique initiations with the goddess and the divine feminine. One such spiritual retreat was held in honor of this very same prophecy regarding Our Lady of Magdala, the watchtower of the flock. The woman came to fulfill the prophecy by bringing forth the return of the Grail queens, assisting the divine feminine powers in sisterhood. I happen to know who one of the Grail queens is, and I spend time with her in the mornings. She is divinely guided. I've told her so. She doesn't realize who she is yet, but she is indeed very likely a Grail queen. As I strolled barefoot along Iona's sacred shores, isn't that beautiful? The pictures. Shores pebbled with some of the most ancient stone in the world, millions of years of evolution in the making. I contemplated these mysteries and literally felt time coming to a standstill. 3 miles of heaven on earth, no air pollution, no city sounds, only beautiful nature abounds. Iona legends go back to the age of Atlantis, both as a literal story of radical changes in coastal geomorphology from cyclical natural catastrophe, as evidenced by the mystical rock formations adorning the Staffa caves nearby, but also a metaphor of ancient wisdom sinking into the subconscious. Now, Miss Deb mentioned the caves and me in the vision of a cave. It was a fleeting glimpse. It was very dark. It was lit by a candle or some sort of natural source, not a light bulb or anything like that. Very dim. And it was just a glimpse. I haven't gotten anything further from that. But I'm kind of letting or trying to let some of that come as naturally as possible because I was beating myself to death trying to get memories back. But I was hoping kind of like with that class yesterday evening with Brett Stewart, I was hoping that that would maybe give me some ideas. Because I definitely have some blocks going on. They deal with past lives and a great deal of pain, trying to get into some of the past lives. So I have to overcome that, and that's what I'm working on. Anyway, this shows the caves and the natural rock there, which is amazing. Beautiful face. The one that wrote this article. Isn't that amazing? Just amazing. See? Yeah, that's a place, all right. One such legend speaks of a group consisting of 7 males and 3 males, along with one child, establishing an Atlantean colony on Iona. They built a small library for which they called their heart seed, along with a temple. They called it their heart seed. Infinite Terra. You know how the infinity sign's been a big deal to me, and I always do the purple hearts. Yeah. These refugees of the lost continent of Atlantis, called the Isle of Iona Abarak, or distant place of the heart. By the way, heart backwards, Terra. Terra, planet Earth. the word T-E-R-R-E or T-E-R-R-A. Connect dots. That's what I do. It's interesting because somebody's emailed me that has a Terra 8. Interesting. So I'm guessing they know the significance of that as well. The Druid maps listed Iona as Innis non-Druidian, the Isle of Druids, possibly because it is believed that at one time the island had 350 standing stones. The locals have only in recent years begun doing excavations of the isle near the medieval abbey and have already discovered much older ruins beneath the soil. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Let me back up here, show you some of these pictures up close. Cross to St. John. More than 12,000 years old. Lions symbolizing Christ's majesty. The Virgin and Child's inbound by angels. Daniel in the lion's den. Abraham preparing to sacrifice Isaac. King David playing the harp. David defeating Goliath. Celtic snake and boss motifs. Motifs. Wow. And the Book of Kells was written here. Some very ancient rocks stacked. Isn't it beautiful? Looks like an amazing place. You can see the rock work down here that they discovered. Steps. Fascinating. Hyperboreans and the Aryans of the second root race referred to the Isle of Iona by Luma, or bright land. The priestesses of Iona called themselves the priestesses of the Ankh, or shared well of life. Etymologically, Ankh is strongly suggestive of the Egyptian Ankh and the symbol of life and sacred union between the divine feminine and sacred masculine. The Iona priestesses were the inspiration for the Celtic legends concerning sanctuaries of the Lady of the Lake type anima. Carl Jung's term for the feminine part of the man's personality, divine women who regenerated the male soul, psyche, and often his physical body as well. One such priestess, the last known prioress of Iona, is Anna MacLean, or MacLean. Her body still rests on the isle. She died in 1543. Upon her tombstone is an effigy of a woman holding a child with an inscribed dedication to Saint Maria. Many may assume this is a dedication to the Virgin Mary. However, if one looks deeper into the symbolism, you will note that the woman is flanked by twin towers. Not only is this a medieval symbol for Mary Magdalena, but her name itself means tower, fish tower, or tower of fishermen in Hebrew. In researching for this article, I discovered quite synchronistically that my own name, Tara, interesting, right? A Tara. Yeah, means tower in Gaelic. The ruins of the great halls where the kings once met are on the hill of Tara in Ireland. I visited this sacred hill while backpacking for a month, which I will be exploring and writing about in great detail at a later date, sharing knowledge about one of my favorite subjects, the mythical Tuatha De Danann. That's interesting. D-E-N. Yeah. The double consonants and the double N's, or triple vowels and double consonants. Oh my gosh, that just came to me. Because there was something about the vowels and consonants in a name in one of the codes. And I thought it was pointing at somebody else, but I think it might have been pointing at me, and I didn't realize it. It just dawned on me. Oh, Gabriel, hit me upside the head with a rock, please, because I didn't catch that when you put it in there. Anyway, this is the grave slab of Abbess Anna McLean, 1543 at Iona Nunnery. The top half of the slab is of Abbess Anna. Interesting, two angels, Gabriel and Michael. Zeus. The towers, the sun, just like my channel, art. Wowza. I didn't even notice that until just now while I'm looking at this. I just kind of glanced over this and decided to put it in the stream today. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Two towers, sun and moon. This part's upside down, but yeah. What's interesting is it looks like on this part, there's two. But the bottom of it's broke off. Yeah, the bottom half of the slab is broken off, but has the Virgin Mary on it. A drawing of what the gravestone looked like before it broke is provided. That's this. Okay. Interesting. Local legends say Mari arrived with child after her exile from the homeland, first arriving in France and then traveling to Glastonbury, ultimately landing on Iona to give birth. The son of Saint Isa and Saint Marie was to be raised and initiated into the greater mysteries by the Iona priestesses Eileen. Incidentally, another ancient Gaelic name for the Isle of Iona was Eileen, Ida, Idhe, also known as Ainam Bon Boyd Hedgett? I don't know. The Isle of Beautiful Women. Iach? Boyd Iach, I guess. It is possible the woman holding the child is a dedication to Saint Mary Magdalena, and the child of Christ, Saint John, whom the priestess Eileen helped to raise and protect during her lifetime. Was the secret passed down to the last prioress on Iona, Anne McLean? Hmm, that's interesting because I've seen artwork depicting Marie, St. John, Michael, and another female. So there were two. Hmm. Okay, just connecting some possible dots in my head. Iona, the Iona Nunnery. I like to imagine the ancient temple where Marie is rumored to have once walked and bore a son is yet to be discovered under the ruins of the Iona Nunnery, still standing today. Call it an intuitive hunch. As I explored the site, I came upon one of the outer walls of the nunnery where I discovered a very worn symbol of a naked woman with her legs spread. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's very, very easy to miss. The religious carving of a woman is called the Sheila na gigs, figurative carvings of naked women displaying an exaggerated vulva, an obvious symbol associated with the goddess of fertility and childbirth. The isle has also been associated with harboring women fleeing from persecution from abusive husbands, unwed mothers, and those that had lost their husbands, like Marie. Hence, why one of the many names associated with the island translates to the Isle of Beautiful Women. Some more pictures. And this is the nunnery. And I showed you all Roslyn Chapel too as well. Some interesting things about it, including the pentagram. The nunnery is a truly glorious and spiritual testimony that has withstood the test of time, despite the Norman Vikings' attempts to destroy it by burning it in 802 AD. 68 monks were killed in another raid in 806 AD. The remaining monks fled to Kells, County Meath, Ireland, or Meath, with a gospel book produced in Iona known as the Book of Kells. That reminds me, I want to write that down because I was going to investigate that. Follow the breadcrumbs. The ruins were by far my favorite place to visit while I spent a week on the Isle of Iona. I could often be found there meditating with my Naga Champa incense. I know I probably just butchered that. Seated in the area of the nunnery called the Anti-Taig Video? I don't know. The chapter house. A humble room made of stone where the black nuns would sit daily in contemplation. The stone benches in which the black nuns would have sat in service to the divine, still intact and in good condition, allowing me to sit for what felt like hours despite the waves of tourists passing by for photo ops. I felt very much at home in this sacred place, retracing the footsteps of these primeval women. The black nuns of Iona, who resided in the nunnery in 1200, followed the teachings of Saint Augustine of Hippo of Egypt, one of many connections these British Isles have to the Far East. Some more pictures. Ley lines of Iona. The ancients often built over previous sacred sites as they fell into ruin, either by cataclysm or war. They were much more in tune with the energetic ley lines of the planet and great planetary dragon lines, which impregnate Mother Earth. It's possible the builders of the nunnery knew about the land's ancient past. I know it felt quite special to me personally in the medieval ruins. Iona is a geomagnetic vortex anchoring a pentagonal matrix of ley lines, invisible currents of earth energy. The telluric current or earth current, which moves under the ground and through the sea, intersects three ley lines, which lie in a swampy part of the island, marked by low-lying boulders in perfect circle with a central altar stone. Also interestingly to note, the title Merlin as seer to the king is well established in Druid tradition. The Merlins served the Merlines, the umbilical to the mother or matriarchal line, mitochondrial DNA, the connection to the divine feminine and the ocean of greater consciousness. Folklore says, you walk Merlin's line on Iona through the mother's landscape body to the mother. It is believed that Christ personally attuned Iona to this perfect frequency, Christos frequency, for the purpose of initiates to receive the energetic atonement. Pre-Christian Ionians worshipped the mother goddess, sister of the sun god Bel, also worshipped in Egypt and Asia Minor. Her sites were associated with sacred springs, fountains, and wells. This mother church connects the Gaels with the cradles of civilization in Europe and Asia. Iona used to have a circle of standing stones, and there are the remains of over 350 megalithic stones. Some of Iona's megaliths may have been carved into the numerous Celtic crosses on the island, some of which have gone missing. Perhaps those among the missing were relics dedicated to members of the Holy Family. You know, DNA tests revealed that, what was it, 80% of the men in the UK area on the Isles are of Egyptian descent. The Sacred Pentagram of Scotland. One, two, three, four, five. Iona's key ley line alignment extends to Montrose on the east coast of the Scottish mainland, passing through the ancient Gaelic royal burial site at Dunstaffnage, then Fortingall, St. Mary's Church, Grantully, Aberlemino, which is marked by two ancient and inscribed stones, finally reaching Montrose, Mount of the Rose. The rose being an obvious association with Marie Magdalena. The current parish church of Montrose was built in 1791 by David Logan. But there have been a number of ecclesiastical structures on the site since the medieval period. The earliest is thought to have been built in the 12th century and dedicated to St. John the Evangelist. Could this be another clue associating John Martinius, the son of Isa and Mari, to this parish connected to the ley lines of his birthplace on Iona? St. Martinus. James M. McInley also observes, in the Strathmore district of Perthshire is the parish of St. Martin's, whose name leaves no doubt as to the dedication of its ancient church. In 1568, a field beside the churchyard was known as St. Martin's Acre. The church of Montrose, dedicated to John the Evangelist and Agnes, owed allegiance to St. Martin, whose name is still preserved in St. Martin's Well and in a neighboring hollow known as St. Martin's Den. There's a picture of it. A chapel bearing St. Martin's name was situated along with a graveyard on a rising ground at the east of Nungate, a suburb of Haddington, on the right bank of the Tyne. It was a dependency of a Cistercian nunnery of Haddington, founded by Countess Ada and mother of Malcolm IV and William de Lyon. Both those names are on my family line. Both of them. The land on which it stood was granted by the Countess to Alexander St. Martin, and it was, wow, here we go with the name Alexander again. Another thing, the name Martin. My first major boyfriend, his name was Martin. He went by Marty. Wow, here we go with the synchronicity stuff. And it was he, according to Dr. J.G. Wallace James, who probably built the chapel. Ancient Church Dedications in Scotland, 1914. One might wonder who were the antecedents of Alexander St. Martin. Likewise, what were the origins of the Scottish clan MacMartin, known to date at least as far back as the Middle Ages? While one can understand that some chapels and Kilmartin Place names may have their origin religious dedications to St. Martin of Tours, nevertheless, such old Gaelic place names, translating as St. Martin's Acre, St. Martin's Den, Martin's Land, Martin's Well, Martin's Isle, and Martin's Dale, are more likely to have arisen due to the actual presence of a holy person named Martin, since there is no record of St. Martin of Tours ever visiting ancient Alban or Scotland. It allows one to speculate that some of these Gaelic Martin place names may relate to John Martinius, or possibly some of the descendants who would no doubt have continued the spiritual work initiated by their illustrious and holy forebears. And that's one of a stained glass window depicting Saint Mary Magdalene, Magdalene at St. Martin's Church. Interestingly, Ada F. Swire, a Scottish folklorist, comments on an early medieval carved tombstone in the style of those found on Iona, located in the old graveyard of Kilmer on the Isle of Skye, saying it marks the grave of Agnes Gill Martin, the first member of the Martin family to settle in Skye. Skye, the island and its legends, 1961. So there's a book on this. Remarkably, the Isle of Skye in Gaelic, Eilean Isa, translates to the island of Jesus. There is also an early Martinius connection with Arles in Celtic Gaul, now France, where a Christian mission was established by Saint Trophimus, a disciple of Saint Isa. Tradition says that Saint Trophimus, or Themis, traveled to Gaul with Mary Magdalena and other disciples of Isa. He became the first of a succession of bishops of Arles, holding the office from 60 to 80 AD. Interestingly, from 170 to 180 AD, the name of the then bishop of Arles was Martinius. Barely a century and a half later, we find another bishop of Arles named Martinius II from 316 to 330 AD, which may suggest some kind of hereditary descent. Could this imply a family lineage descended from John Martinius? Or could it be that that's another incarnation of the same being? You know, one thing that I'm finding with this incarnation thing inside the family lines, I'm also finding that our names have everything to do with the past and our past names, and also our likeness in this incarnation is very much like our original likeness. I just found somebody recently that is the spitting image of an archangel. And I'm not joking, spitting image. And I was led to him by Gabriel, just FYI, in a very odd way, researching 3 totally unrelated topics at the time, but researching all 3 at the same time, which is bizarre how that all occurred, but yeah. Quite detailed and intricate, I can guarantee you. But most people can't research that many things all at once. I have a little help from my friends. The birdie on my shoulder. High Priestess Mary Magdalena, keeper of doves. The Isle of Iona is the shape of a dove, and its name in Hebrew means dove, though most recently it was named after the pioneering spirit St. Columba, also known himself as the dove of the church. The Rosarium Philosophorium equates the dove with heavenly light. Young visionaries, virginal children, used as oracles or channels, are also called doves in the magic tradition. According to the book titled The End to All Disease and the Da Vinci Code Revelations by Lieutenant Lawrence F. Frago, even the highest initiates of the various mystery schools never spoke the name of Jesus. Jesus was also referred to as the dove. The various names of Jesus are in fact spiritual titles, all meaning roughly light bearer. Interesting, right? Light bearer. You know, my codes said Jesus is Lucifer, light bearer. And they're both the morning star, right? Just connecting dots. My own personal experience is it is Mary Magdalena and the goddess that I've associated with the dove, a morning dove to be specific, because of an event that changed the course of my life in my early 20s. At the time, prior to this experience, I had little to no relationship with the divine. I'd lost the strong connection I'd once had as a child, both as an infant during an OBE, out of body experience, and after my NDE, near death experience, as a young girl. Time had caused me to become bitter and broken. During an unexpected moment of complete surrender, I fell to tears while contemplating the suffering and pain that Saint Isa must have experienced while being nailed to a cross for historically refusing to pay taxes, and the only crime Pontius Pilate could charge him with during his interrogations. As my tears of intense empathy fell uncontrollably, I began what I called enraptured. I was unable to move or speak while being wrapped in what I can only describe as a golden, energetic cocoon of pure, bombastic bliss. Wow, right? The gal that wrote this article is definitely one of us. There's no doubt in my mind. That night, when I was almost asleep in my bed, I felt someone or something blow a breath of cold air upon my right arm. That's a familiar feeling for me every day. As I sat straight up out of my bed in fear, my cat also jumped up onto the bed, staring at whatever was above my head. I could feel something there and see the luminescent glow it was putting off in my peripheral. I turned to my boyfriend at the time and yelled, "There's something in the room." He was never one to believe in such things, so I was shocked when he said, "I believe you because I just saw it leave." Yeah, sometimes people get a big wake-up call. When I turned to look, I could see the hallway light up as it vanished around the corner, like a welcoming stranger who didn't mean to frighten us. When I asked my boyfriend what he had seen, he described it as a ball of light. Here we go, a ball of light that moves swiftly up and down the door before quickly exiting around the corner, which it came. My. I hadn't even read down this far in this particular article. Um, wow, synchronicity. I talked about my channel and the channel art and that photograph of the sun that I took and the colors, the pink, because Gabriel, his orb is large and it's mostly pink. Has other colors too, but mostly the main color that's projecting is pink. Now, Adonai's is mostly white with all different kind of sparkle colors. Yeah, but Gabriel's definitely projects pink, and it even came up in the code somewhere about him liking pink. He does like pink. Okay. The following day, a mourning dove appeared outside my front door. That's funny because I just got done looking at pictures of a mourning dove that I took that was out on my step, just right outside the window one day. And I was just looking at that, I don't know, 1 or 2 days ago. Synchronicity appeared outside my front door as I was heading out to work, singing a hauntingly beautiful melody. Yeah, they are amazing. I intuitively felt this dove was a winged messenger of what some in esoteric circles would call the bride tribe or bird tribe, otherwise known as angels. Yep, the birds. Also represented in visions as American Airlines planes, I might add. Interesting way to get a vision about angels, right? Letting me know I had a visit from the divine the night before and not to be frightened. She's definitely one of us. She sees signs around her. Like I said, there's signs all around you. You just need to become more aware of what's going on around you. I get signs all the time, constantly, which I'll be talking a little more about that here in a little bit. As I began to work more on the divine feminine within myself, it became clear to me that the dove was a symbol for Mary Magdalena and the goddess. Yeah, the cult of Ishtar or Astarte in Iona. Okay. The mother goddess and the queen of heaven involved seven-stage initiation, the dance of the seven veils. Prior to her affiliation with Isa, the Magdalena may well have been associated with such a cult. Migdal or Magdala was the village of doves. She was a high priestess of the temple of Ishtar of Magdala, and as such, she would have been the keeper of the doves. The mourning dove still shows up outside my home no matter where I'm residing, especially in times of crisis to offer me support, courage, and strength with her song. Three powerful goddesses, Mary Magdala, Aphrodite, Erechina, and Venus Serpentina. Wow. Initiation by breath. I would only come to understand fully the significance of the holy breath as I received that fateful night many years later while actually researching for this very article. Jesus also called a dawn. You know, I've got Gabriel and Adonai, a dawn, also known as, guess who? Archangel Michael, aka Zeus. Can't make this stuff up. Wow. Or Adonai. He pronounces it Adonai, just FYI for everybody who wants to know. And he is particular about how you pronounce it because I was calling him Adonai, which is Gabriel's name. It is Adonai. I'm so mind blown because I didn't get down into this part because I was more reading the upper part about the island. I wasn't this. Yeah. Mind blown during a live stream again. Wow. See, sometimes when I don't read things prior to stream, it's actually quite a treat because you get to see my reactions to some of the things I'm reading. I'm just mind blown. Oh, yeah. She definitely has two angels. Wowza. Meaning Lord and Holy Spirit, transmitted to the disciples by breathing upon them. Marie received the Holy Spirit in this way and advanced in spiritual consciousness. In the biblical tradition, the Holy Spirit was given to Adam in the Garden of Eden when God blew upon him the breath of life. This blowing of the Holy Spirit was what had made him a living soul. And God created man, earth from the earth, and he blew upon his person continents with the breath of life. And man became a living soul, Genesis 2:7. This tradition has its origins in ancient Egypt, which precedes the Bible by thousands, precedes the Bible by thousands of years. Yeah. The priests and priestesses perform the same transmissions or breath initiation as depicted below with the Ankh, you know, the Egyptian symbol for life. You know, in that video, I told you it was divinely guided, the one done by Sia, Elastic Heart. You notice when the whole thing, the song's divinely guided, the people that choreographed the dancers for that video was completely divinely guided. You notice in there the girl takes a really deep breath and blows out. But first she grabs him by his ears and she uncovers his eyes and his ears because she's in the process of trying to convince him to listen to her and to open his eyes and ears. It's very prophetic what's done in that dance. And that deep breath she takes, I do that all the time. Was my own experience and actual initiation the start of my personal journey into the greater mysteries? The more I delved into this lost history, the more I discovered the connections between ancient Sumer and Egypt with the British Isles. Yep, yep, and yep. She's right, 100%. Yep. Hmm. There's that picture. The creation of Adam, right? Breathing life in. And the Egyptian, same thing. Wow, mind blown. St. Columba, Egypt, and the Stone of Destiny. Today, Iona is mostly remembered because of St. Columba, a mystic monk who, in his own right, deserves an entire blog entry dedicated to himself. St. Columba drove out a rival monastic order, not the indigenous Druids, as is frequently but wrongly reported. Here we go with the tampering of history. The Druids to me were extremely important. I feel an extreme kinship with the Druids. Huge. They weren't bad guys, guarantee it. Born into a royal family in line to become king, he instead entered into the priesthood. Legend has it he performed many miracles and had the ability to control the elements. Yip, yip, and yep. Like I said, you guys are extremely gifted and you don't know your own power. Telekinesis and some of the things that I do with the clouds and weather, atmokinesis, it's a thing, and you are very powerful. Interestingly enough, my son can do it too. Yeah. He thought I was full of bull hockey one day, and I did it in front of his eyes, and his best friend manipulated a cloud, made it disappear in seconds. And I did it several times. They'd pick the cloud, I'd make it disappear. He's like, there's no way. Because he's like me, he's a skeptic. And he said, and I came inside because I was done arguing with him at the time. I came inside, sat down, he came inside. Well, here's to prove that you didn't make a cloud disappear. I just did it. And I just gave him a funny look. He goes, don't look at me like that. It was so funny. So funny. Yeah. He's got the ability to. Cracks me up. He doesn't even know his own power yet. Saint Columba descended from the Egyptian princess Skata, who escaped to Scotland after the overthrow of her father, the pharaoh Akhenaten, aka Amenhotep IV. Irish history says she arrived in the southern part of Ireland with the Stone of Destiny 4,000 to 3,500 years ago. According to Notchculus de Vere, the line of Princess Scotia descended through the Tuatha de Danann, the dragon kings and queens of Anu. Yes, the Anunnaki. Yep, 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 yep. It's a thing. Anu, which means heaven. And also, evidently, my father, I think. Still sorting that out, but yeah. And the Egyptian dragon dynasty of Sobek. The later strain included the bloodline of the Davidic house of Judah, who married into the Merovingian kings of the Franks. Her cult of the dragon's breath, cult of the spirit of On or Ankh, Scotcha, is the progenitor of the Irish and Scottish kings, a royal lineage which eventually gave birth to Saint Columba of Iona. Wow, wow, and wow. Wowza! Recent DNA evidence now gives credence to the story of a royal Egyptian lineage in Scotland. As studies show, Europeans can trace their ancestors back to Egypt through Princess Scotia, including myself. Scotland is named after the princess, and you can still visit her small unmarked grave just south of Tralee in County Kerry, besides the Finglas rivulet in, oh, here we go, Trug, not, yeah, whatever. This, somebody would have to pronounce that one for me. Trug, Hanakami, maybe, possibly. Irish, Glen Scotin, or Glen of the Wee Blossom Princess Scota. Additional supporting evidence, according to Lorraine Evans in her book Kingdom of the Ark, documents the wreckage of two Egyptian ships discovered near Hull in 1937 AD. Carbon dating puts them from the period of 1400 BC to 1350 BC. If an Egyptian princess could travel by ship via trade routes on the British Isles 1,000 years prior to the Holy Family, why couldn't Isa or Marie travel by ship via trade routes with Joseph of Arimathea and the uncle of Isa? A wealthy tin merchant who had many ties to the British Isles as a supplier of the metal of all uses that were shipped from Wales, Ireland, and France to the Middle East. Grail romances depict Joseph of Arimathea as the man who brought the Grail to safety. Was Marie the sacred vessel, the cup of Christ, being an allegory for the womb which carried the children of the Grail? Yep, and yep. You can eliminate the question mark. Yep. Wow. This is fascinating. I'm sure there's more in here that I would be totally wowed about. Oh, I just got a code. Let me write it down real quick so I don't forget. Okay. Since I'm going long here, I'm going to include a link to this very article, and there's another one here. Because here's a picture in stained glass of Adonai and Marie. Wow. Yep. That's a thing. I'll include that too. It talks about this aisle as well, and much of the same. There's the cross again, St. John's cross. Wowza. Two angels, one on each side. Wow. Blowing my mind. Interesting. A family line. Gotta look into that. Anyway, Mary Magdalena, a picture. Fascinating. Notice the hair colors. Huh. You know, I watched a video talking about the brunettes with the high-end tint red background, and the hazel and hazel eyes. Yeah. And I've talked about how my hair changes color with the light, because it does dramatically. Sometimes I look blonde, sometimes I look brunette, sometimes I look dark brunette, sometimes I look red brunette. Yeah. And my eyes are freakish hazel. Huh. Somebody else was talking about that. Someone I just found yesterday, actually. Huh. Anyway, something interesting that I wanted to show you guys that was in a video that I watched. And it made me giggle. I love this so much. This is Clash of the Titans, I believe, the movie. That's Zeus. And it tickled me. And then I looked at it again and I'm like, oh my gosh, look in the background. What's going on in the background? A bald eagle next to Zeus, right? I was like, oh, the synchronicity. You just can't make this crap up. Like I said, if this is a psyop, it's so damn intricate. There's no possible way. Totally flipping out on this. I gotta show you guys this. Anyway, Zeus, bald eagle right here. It does. It makes me giggle. Let me stop sharing a second. I gotta show you this. You know, I manifest things with a fleeting thought sometimes. December 2017, I manifested this coaster, a single coaster. And a simple thought in my head, I need a coaster for my desk. The day before, less than 24 hours after this coaster ended up in my hands. Coincidence? I don't think so. Yeah. You know what it took for this to land up in my hands? When it did, less than 24 hours. This was given to my ex. He had gone, interestingly, the church every holiday season in December, holds a deal for the disadvantaged in the area. And they come here and get food, blankets, bicycles for kids, toys, all kinds of stuff. Big deal. Last 3 days, an entire weekend. He went there, and this was in the package. So somebody had donated this to the church for that. Then it made it into his hands. And then it made it into mine. How long before was this donated? Good question. But I thought about, I need a coaster for my desk. Just a fleeting thought. Didn't verbalize it. And that ended up in my hands. Destiny is a thing. Bank on it. Bank on it. This proves it. Fascinating. We get to discover more. Let me see what else I was going to show you all. Oh, yeah. I wanted to show you this. Okay. Let me show you this real quick. Share screen. I was looking up the Iapetus family tree because I'm like, Zeus. And Kronos has been coming up in my codes too. And Gabriel gives me the telepathy. Time's up, tick tock. And Kronos has been in the codes recently. And it also, in that thing, it said tick tock, just like Gabriel says. Huh. Interesting. Here's Zeus. Zeus is the sky and thunder god in ancient Greek religion who rules as the king of the gods of Mount Olympus. Interesting. His name cognate with the first element of his Roman equivalent, Jupiter. Jupiter. That's been coming up in my codes a whole bunch. Wowza. Interesting, huh? You know, Demeter is one of the names listed under Iona. But then there's also Hera, which is the sister wife of Zeus. She is the daughter of the Titans, Kronos and Rhea. Hera, yeah. Sister wife of Zeus, Hera. Yeah, interesting. Also talks about the muses here, which are the goddesses, multiple goddesses. I know one of them. I'm absolutely 100% certain that she's one of them. No doubt in my mind. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, there was one last thing. You know, I've watched Mark Passio and his ideas about what the civilization on this planet should be like, and Michael Tellinger, this Ubuntu. Originally, this planet was this sort of setup. So I'm very fond of their ideas because that's the way it's supposed to be. Arcadia. There's also something I want to mention. I was going to read to you because but this is going long. I'll have to do it in another stream. But when my soul is remote viewed, first of all, I'm not entirely human. This is true. When my soul was remote viewed, there were gold rings on the outside. And the remote viewer's like, what are these? What are these gold rings? Let's see. Oh, that's something else I'm going to do later. I'm going to stop sharing and okay. These gold rings. I wanted to actually read this to you. I'll show you a quick, maybe I'll do this tomorrow, possibly, because I already have another stream planned for tonight about the eights, the 888 vision I had, because there's more. Oh, where was this? Oh, yeah. The gold rings, remote viewed on my soul. Just so happens that Iona had gold rings on her war attire. My soul's actually wearing them. Gold rings. It talks about that in here, among some other things that I've made notes on. Some freakish stuff. But we'll go over that in another stream. Very quickly, because I am going to do a stream on the 8th this evening. So if you guys don't have anything planned for your Saturday evening, come hang out and yak. I'm just going to read this off real quick. Some things that have happened. Weird synchronicity stuff and things like that. Okay. Let's see. I did have some a chunk of missing time on the 17th. I was chatting with my father-in-law on the 17th about my mom and her dementia, which dementia is definitely a problem with the genetics and eating things we shouldn't, being exposed to things we shouldn't. This was the day I did 2 streams and I got a code in the middle of those 2 streams, 2018. I did a stream on that already because it had a message in it. Oh, by the way, thank you for the wonderful letters and notes and things like that. I really appreciate it. Let's see. On the 18th, 6:27 a.m. bedroom clock, felt a hand touch mine, saw a shadow with my eyes closed, and swore I would have seen someone standing there when I opened my eyes around 6:40 a.m. I got the telepathy, beam me up, Scotty. Gabriel's got a sense of humor. I was in the kitchen at the time. And I got the telepathy because I was like, let's just, get this over with. And I got beam me up, Scotty. And I wrote laughing my ass off, Gabriel. Let's see, other interesting things. Yeah, finding out that infinity symbol that I use is the omega. That was interesting. This was on the 18th at 1:14 p.m. Just finished doing vid of ice water outside. I haven't moved them off the camera yet, so I can't share those with you, but including thinking everyone, including me, needs to take a break from the crazy that's going on and enjoy nature. Bluebirds are back. One flew over to me on the electrical line outside. They tend to fly to me and land on me sometimes. It's really interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Some telepathy I got on the 18th about the 888 deal and researching a name. Thinking about, thinking about what I learned about government banking, human testing, etc. during the 1.5 years I was off the rails with my awakening. So it wasn't a total loss of time because I learned a great deal in that time. So I guess really I wasn't completely off the rails, wasn't completely derailed, because I learned about the protocols of the learned Eldris Zion banking system and the virus in that time frame. So it wasn't a complete derail. Was also thinking about the Matrix, how my entire life feels like it was planned out, right down to where I'm living right now. Yikes, mind racing again today. Right here. Let's see if I can make sure you guys see it. See right here? I got overwhelmed and I wrote, I was falling asleep behind the computer and I wrote, I quit. I wrote, I quit. I was very overwhelmed at the time. Then, you know, this whole journey is really overwhelming. And there's times where I feel just like that. I quit. But once I get some sleep, I'm right back at it again. And when I wrote that, it was 3:22 p.m., equating to the code 1522. 1522 had some very profound things that it said. And basically it was saying, don't give up. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick if I have it. Oh, that's the 8th, which I'll be doing later. Let me pull up 1522 real quick for you guys. I'll read you what it says that stood out. A couple of things that really stood out in this. Follow me now, and you will not regret leaving the life you led before we met. You are the first to have this love of mine forever with me till the end of time. This code's really interesting. Zeus is unstoppable. Damn right. The Jesus imposter. That's a thing. The stream I'm doing tonight's going to talk about that. It's all about that vision I got about the eights. I am the master at the top of the mountain. I am the hidden truth reveal. Zeus is unstoppable, the whiz. I am the hidden truth reveal. Yep. There were some other things in this, but it was telling me not to give up. Interesting. How did they know I was gonna, like I said, destiny is a thing. It's gotta be. Gotta. The people I'm meeting, the things that are happening, even the botched stream about rapture. Rapture my ass. Let's see what else we have here real quick. Get this wrapped up and then this was interesting. Woke up was speaking with Gabriel about vids I could do. There was one about a guy with black hair. His fingernails were all chewed off. I vetoed it. That was at 3:09 a.m. on the 19th. Yeah. May have something to do with somebody I found yesterday, possibly. See if there's anything else interesting that happened. Man, a lot of being overwhelmed lately. A lot. This is on the 20th. I wrote down no more vid chats for a while. Need to focus on my personal stuff with no other input. Purple Rain, get your house in order, was in a code. Going to do that code I got a while back. No, while speaking with Sir J. I got this code 1131. It says, what is the matrix? The answer is out there, Neo, and it's looking for you, and you will find it if you want it to. So 1131 was basically telling me exactly what I just got done saying, that I backed off and just kind of focused on my general environment. Because like I said, the telepathy and other things happen better when I do some mindless things. And quit racking my brain over every detail on the planet. So my instinct is right. Pull back and do what I need to do. Get more telepathy when I do mindless task, housework, gaming, etc. Some interesting things happened also on the 20th. That goddess I was talking about was doing readings. Total sync happening with the cards. She pulled again. Leave no housekeeping unattended was on the cards. Clean your house. Goes right along with Purple Rain, get your house in order. 12 tribes, the family card. Saved that very thing to my hard drive in the wee hours this AM. I spoke of Purple Rain, get your house in order. Last card ended up having Prince's sign, his guitar, on the forehead of the card. Freaky sync. Got to pay attention to that synchronicity stuff. It's a thing. And she also did a private reading that had some very, very interesting results. Super interesting. Also, I'm looking at the Urantia book. I actually have one coming, and I'll share that with you all. And I'm getting, I used to just get a code here or there. Now I'm getting literal strings of codes. Strings. And my mind has been thinking about those and why I'm getting them in strings. There's a reason. I'll figure it out. Got an interesting code yesterday, 618. 618. And this just talks about some freakish, super freakish stuff yesterday, where I was researching 3 totally unrelated things and found somebody. And just happened to find a painting of an archangel that is the spitting image of this person I found. And totally unrelated things. Totally 100% unrelated. Gabriel does guide me, says in the codes recently. He told me, back to 0, I will guide you. He is. This great awakening that I'm going through has a lot to do with a lot of you going through the same thing. And there's a reason. Remember, do your inner work. Releasing yourself from and redeeming yourselves to yourselves. Release soul contracts. It's important. You make them all the time and don't even know you're doing it. I would make a regular habit of doing that. Take it seriously. Very seriously. And beyond doing that, remember to appreciate the really small things going on around you. Look for that synchronicity. Look for the signs. They're going on around you all the time. And you're oblivious, or some of you are. The thing that you should remember on top of doing that work, because if you're really doing that work of redeeming yourself to yourself, you're going to need a lot of boxes of Kleenex. A lot. But the other thing you need to do with releasing yourself from those things that you've done in the past and releasing yourself from soul contracts is remember to sing and dance and project that joy to your family. Because if you're MTHFR, so are they. We're all one big happy family. So make sure you project that love and that innocence, your inner innocence, the true you, to them. Hopefully it'll rub off on them and they'll start making that same journey. Yeah. I have a feeling there's more to this. If I get time, I'll research it. Hopefully others will. I'm going to look at the Book of Kells got the Urantia book coming, and yeah, stream this evening on the 8th about that vision. It's important because it has everything to do with more than one. Okay. Anyway, I love you guys. Infinite Terra, out past the stars, all the stars, every star you can imagine, and back. The reason we're here, the reason we all incarnated during this time, is because it's game time. And you're adored. That's the reason we're here, doing what we're doing. So, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll be back this evening to do a stream on the 8s. There's more about those 8s. And maybe we'll squeeze in a little bit of Iona. Okay. Anyway, I'll check the chat real quick before I leave. Just say hi. Hello, Miss Deborah. Hello, Miss Seeley. Hello, Sir Neo. Good to see you. Yeah, you guys are so fantastic. You guys are amazing. If you guys could only see what I see in you. You guys are more. Miss Princess, I adore you. Long time no see. You know, Princess, we need to have a chat because yeah. Remember I talked about having a walk with the dark so you know the true light? I got some fantastic news about that. It has everything to do with yesterday and finding another archangel, by the way. Fascinating stuff. If you guys only knew what goes on behind the scenes here. Oh, Miss Esoteric. I call her Princess. I've known her for a while. She's amazing. Her energy is fantastic. Off the charts, crazy. Yeah, Sir Neo, I do have 2 angels working with me, actually. Gabriel guides me a whole lot, though. He's been instrumental in my entire life. The whole thing. So, yeah. Anyway, I will see you guys this evening. If you want to chat, hang out, got nothing better to do on a Saturday night, yay. We'll talk about that vision on the 8th I had, and hopefully maybe squeeze in a little of this stuff about Iona, and yeah, some fascinating things that I noticed in that book. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. See you this evening. Take care. See you later.